Welcome to Seneschal, and today I'm just going to have a real quick video just kind of going over a handful of games I played with that 500 point patrol detachment list at the event this last Saturday. Had a lot of fun, ran the Canonist with the Righteous Rage, Blade of Admonition, Stormbolter, 2 Battlesister squads of 3 Stormbolters each, in a Repressor with double Stormbolter, and a Dominion squad with Combi Flamer, 4 Meltas, and a regular Bolter inside another Repressor. Now, I'd kind of made that list thinking in my head that I was going to have standard deployment, so +1 if I only had 3 drops was probably going to be mine most often. However, they just did the new chapter approved, so that didn't matter, but it worked out pretty well anyway. I did manage to go 3-0, and I'm just going to kind of go real quick recap of how the games went. Unfortunately, all of the pictures I took got lost, so I messed that up. But next time I'll have pictures, so I apologize about that. So first game was against Admech. He had a Dragoon, Dune Crawler, Tech Priest, and 3 squads of Skitarii. One of them were the Rangers with sniper rifles, and the others were just plasma dudes. I was able to go first, managed to move up, kill off all but 2 of the standard Skitarii squads. Wasn't able to reach the Rangers, and my dice got super duper cold against the Dragoon because I only managed to push 1 wound with a Melta hit. So that was unimpressive, and not the first or the last time that I was going to get snake eyes on a Melta range shot on the day. But his turn, he had used the command point stratagem to keep one of his Skitarii units on the table in order to stop me from getting first strike. So he didn't end up using the Dragoon stratagem to give them the 4-up is 3 hits, which may have been a mistake because it definitely let my Repressors stay around a little longer than they probably would have otherwise. But he was able to bring my tanks down to, I think, 4 wounds on one, and the other one was just entirely unwounded. On my turn, I was able to finish off both of the Skitarii groups, kill the sniper squad because he had put him a little too close. Still managed to flub my Melta damage rolls and hit rolls and wound rolls, so I only put like 3 wounds on the Dune Crawler, which was unfortunate, but I did start scoring points on the objective in the center. It was the one where you had the intel that you put on a character, which I only had 1, so all my intel was on 1 character, and put them in the center to upload the data. On his turn, he killed off the Repressor. He put some damage on the other one, but he wasn't really able to do much on the squad that fell out. So on my turn, I was able to kill off his Tech Priest, wound both the Dragoon and the Dune Crawler some more, and continue to score points. On his turn, he was not really able to do much. His Dragoon pushed some damage on the Repressor, almost killed it, and the Dune Crawler didn't have a good turn of shooting because it was pretty well wounded. Next turn, I was able to clear the board and continue scoring points on the objective. Relatively straightforward game. Me getting to go first was really strong because I was able to put out a lot of damage on his troop choices and stop the plasma from really chewing me up. His rolls were also a bit on the shy side, so he didn't have the best as far as luck on that. Next game was up against a Cadian Guard list. It was a Basilisk list. 2 units of troops to screen out the commander with the Relic of Old Cadia, and then a group of Scions with Melta guns to try and drop on whatever he needed to remove. I did not get to go first this time, which was unfortunate, but I was able to scout move the Repressor with Dominions up the board and able to get it into cover so I could try and mitigate some of the damage from the Basilisk. I went down to, I think, 3 wounds on that Repressor. The other Repressor was completely unwounded. He didn't put any shots into it other than small arms fire that just didn't matter. On my turn, he also had a Hellhound. I apologize. He had a Hellhound. I was able to move up. We killed most of the troops. I think he had like one guy left in one squad. The Stormbolters really just cut him down. However, again, my Meltaguns got real cold, and for the second time, and still not the last, I rolled Snake Eyes for damage on a Meltagun in Melta range. So managed to put his Hellhound to 1 wound off. That was it. I did 1 wound with 4 Meltaguns. So a little underwhelming. But on his turn, his Basilisk shot, and he didn't have as good a rolls at all. And then I managed to be lucky enough to save both of the Basilisk shots that did go in on the Repressor that was down to 3. He was hoping to kill it with the Basilisk and then toast the girls inside. Just didn't happen for him. Then, so he ended up using the Hellhound to kill off the Repressor. The girls piled out. The Canonist, who had run up and jumped inside, piled out right next to the Hellhound, and then heroically intervened into him in the charge phase. So was able to start getting damage on him with the melee Canonist, which was really nice. I will say the melee Canonist as an option is not ideal, but if you are wanting to have some fun Bloody Rose Order Canonist times, she's really good for that. It was a lot of fun to have a strength 6, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, wounding on, well, varied wildly, but even on 5s, re-rolling was real nice. So wasn't able to quite kill his Hellhound on his turn with the heroic intervention, but on my turn, the Melta Girls moved up. The Canonist just stayed in melee to finish off the Hellhound. The other tank moved up after dropping off 1 squad on the middle objective to keep scoring points, and the other one moved up onto the other objective and started throwing pot shots at one of the Basilisks. I was able to put a couple of wounds on each of the Basilisks, but nothing to drag them down to the next tier, and then killed the Hellhound. On his turn, he was unable to do too terribly much because I was lucky enough that the Dominion squads charged his commander and then piled in and consolidated into one of them into his Basilisk, so he had to fall out of combat with one of the Basilisks. He brought in the Scions. The Scions put some damage into the Dominion squad, but he killed 2 of them, but we still had Meltaguns alive and still had bodies on the table. The Canonists ended up moving over and killing the Scions. The Battle Sister, or the Dominion squads, again moved in and got into charge with the commander and the Basilisk. This time I made sure to correctly bubble wrap the commander so that he couldn't have him fall out, but he ended up just dying to melee anyway. Then I had the other Repressor charge the other Basilisk so that I could have both of them tied up, because at that point that was all he had left on the table. On his turn he stayed in melee because he knew it was going to be a every turn was a him fall back, every turn me charge kind of situation. The Canonist was able to come over, help kill off the last 2 Basilisks, and I was able to win that with tabling. So another good game. Super duper close, because that game really hinged on the 2 saves against the Basilisk hits in the Dominion squad, not having to fall out in front of a Hellhound. So that was excellent luck, but not something that I can certainly count on. The last game was up against Ultramarines, and I seized on him and was thinking, all right, here we go. This is going exactly how I'd want. He had Inceptors, a tactical squad, a heavy weapons squad, and a chapter master. He paid to give a chapter master, and then he had, what was it? The last thing was, it was just a Razorback. It was an assault cannon Razorback. There we go. So I seized on him. My Dominions ran up, and I went, okay, well, I can put a hurt into the tacticals and also be able to probably kill the Inceptors with the Meltaguns. I like that. That seems good. And then I flubbed my Meltaguns again and did 1 wound with the 1 Meltagun shot that got through. So I didn't kill a single Inceptor. I did kill like the tacticals and a couple of the Devastators, but who cares? That wasn't the problem. On his turn, he moved around, put some damage onto the Repressor, and put his Inceptors up on high ground, which made things a little more difficult. On my turn, I pulled the Canoness out of the tank and foolishly decided to charge something when I shouldn't have, and she ate a bunch of Overwatch, failed the charge even with the reroll, and was in a real bad state and would die the next turn on his turn, unfortunately. That was a bad play, and you'll see why why it was so painful later. I was able to kill all but one of the Inceptors, killed off the rest of the Devastators. So it was his Chapter Master, his Razorback, and one Inceptor. And then he killed the Canoness with the Chapter Master, popped open the Repressor with the Razorback, and then was able to kill a good chunk of the Dominions, like all but one or two. So the rest of the game turned into me killing the Chapter Master, me killing the Inceptor, and then me not really having anything on the table to kill the Razorback. So I ended up moving all of my Battle Sister squads and one of my Repressors up to just hug the Razorback so it couldn't fall out of combat, and we just fought each other for the 5 turns the game lasted. Like, it just was silly. I won on objectives because I had bodies to hold the objective and had him outnumbered, but holy cow, was that a silly game. If I had just kept the Canoness alive and further back, she would have been able to kill the Chapter Master without dying, and then she would have been able to kill the Razorback just due to her strong melee presence. So some silliness that made the game way closer than it needed to be, but luckily I was able to kind of luck my way out of the bad rolls at the early turns, and then also bad plays on my part. So I did end up going 3-0. That was a lot of fun. It was a good event. I think their next one is going to be 1,000 points, so I'm going to have to kind of play around and see what I want to bring at 1,000, although it's not for a couple of months. This shop only does events every couple of months, every 2-3 months. So super excited for that. Let me know what you guys think and what you have some ideas for as far as 1,000 points. If you want to do, say, something a little more straightforward, like, say, an Ebon Chalice, or do we go with something like Bloody Rose, or even go a little more off the wall and pick one of the, I guess, ones that I don't necessarily love as much on their face for 1,000 points. Let me know what you guys think. And sorry it's been a couple weeks, been super busy. My wife and I are, and the 2-year-old are getting ready to move, so it's been a little hectic, and finally had a day where she's in daycare where I can do a little bit of recording. So thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Ave Imperator.